And then, I mean, surely everybody uses like moisturizer, I don't know, toothpaste, deodorant. You gotta have something. And then I couldn't understand it. And then one day, I read an interview of Emily Weiss on Entrepreneur Magazine. I'm not sure if you know Emily Weiss. I mean, a lot of you may be familiar with her. She's the CEO of Glossier. And that started as a magazine called Into the Gloss. So she had like a great big editorial background. And now she has a multi-million-dollar beauty company under her belt. And so back to Emily's entrepreneur interview. She spoke about how when she'd meet dozens of people at work, she'd grill them about what's the lipstick, what's the hair, and then she would be faced with an answer that I was all too familiar with. They would say, I don't really do much. And these kinds of responses led Emily to think about why would women respond to beauty conversations this way? So it's not a reach. Let me tell you what she thought. She realized that for years, women or beauty lovers in general were sold things and products by beauty companies by low-key telling them that they're kind of not good enough. And it could be an ad saying, you know, you feel a bit old, here's some eye cream for you. Or this lipstick is what the men is going to be like. Or previously, way back, it could be things like these ads. You know, these were real things. And while in recent years, it's become less obvious, it's just really those subtle things that get compounded in one's subconscious and sneak up on you, and then surprise, you're here denying you have a beauty regimen because if you do, you'll be admitting that, yeah, I look old, I'm inadequate. But then, so then for a lot of people, it would take a little push and a little, you know, peeling of the layers of that social conditioning around them to actually get them talking. And then, so to quote Emily in that same interview, she said, as you peel back that social conditioning around the idea that admitting you have a routine must mean you're frivolous or maybe shouldn't be taken too seriously, you start to realize that almost every woman has something to say. And, you know, I saw that for myself too, because eventually if you nudge them like about, you know, how do you do your makeup, how do you do your hair, they start talking. And luckily for us today, it doesn't have to be that way because beauty is changing. And these days, it's about, you know, feeling good, about things that make us look good, and, you know, being proud of it. Finally, that conversation has, you know, started. Beauty is in one of the top topics of social media, if not the top. I think it would probably be only outliked by food videos, food content. And you know, the fun part is everybody is a creator now. Everybody can talk about beauty. Everybody is a beauty blogger. It's no longer just experts or editors. It's your friends who review toners on their IG stories, and even just those people who you believe what to get because she looks awesome in person. And, you know, it's all democratized, and this is a good thing. People have never been more obsessed with beauty than we are now. And as creators, collaborators, we are the ones that drive that conversation. Do you know how many photos on Instagram there are for the hashtag makeup? It's 194 million. And everything is there. Everybody is a creator. You know, and it's great because, again, we are the ones who drive that conversation. And that's what beauty is about now. It's a conversation. Even big brands are doing it. Say, Chanel. This is a conversation between their face, Lily Rose, and their creative director, Lucia Pica. And I didn't turn on the volume, but instead of telling you this is how you use your lip gloss, they're talking about how each other uses it differently. It's like you and your best friend at a sleepover, right? And so again, we want beauty to be a dialogue that empowers. And how do we do that? we rethink how we converse about beauty because the dynamic, again, has shifted. It's come a long way from dictating to readers, to followers that, hey, this is what you use, to actually having conversation with everybody, not just your best friend. It could be your office receptionist, your intern, your neighborhood convenience store girl who does her eyebrows over her break. It could be like an easy question like, hey, what works for you? What makes you feel beautiful? So rethinking the beauty discussion is about, one, forgetting that outdated concept that beauty isn't empowering because it's deceptive. I mean, if you feel most like yourself, if you're in your full glam, then how is that not authentic, right? It's about moving beyond saying natural beauty is the most beautiful because everyone should feel good whatever they decide to deck themselves out in. And it's about realizing how full and how so easy lifting each other up is. Sometimes all you have to say is, girl, you look good. And you've made somebody's day. And we're all part of it, not just women, also men. We were talking about his skin problems earlier. And it's so, so powerful. And let me just quote Emily again, because she said that, you know, beauty is an interesting connective tissue that allows people to share and to come together. So basically that's it in a nutshell. So what have I done about this recently? So when I was a beauty editor, I had this major urge to, you know, do something about this because I would introspect about this issue a lot. And I felt like I had to produce something that would allow this discussion to happen. And it was long overdue for like preview to do something like this. So the time came for when I had to produce the beauty awards, and which I always had to reinvent. And then we came up with something that we called the Preview Girls' Choice Awards. Note the operative word choice. It used to be just called like the Beauty 100. Basically, these are the 100 beauty products, the best ones that you should be using. Believe us. And because of the traditional format of creating content for print, that kind of thing just felt like we were talking to a wall. I mean, we had no idea how people reacted when they opened up the magazine. We were only speaking at them. We weren't engaging them yet. And so one year I decided, hey, it's time to quit telling people what to use on their faces. Why don't we let them tell us what they want? So this is it. We contacted, we conversed, we shot the portraits of 50 women who made up the beauty panel. And these were women that were never featured in the magazine before, unlike, you know, how usually you would just have some people on rotation. And these were 50 people, and like he said, I was a one-woman department, but, you know, for the mission. So, you know, to get a fresh dialogue going, you're going to need to widen the range of people you listen to. And then what I did was I just asked my friends to post on their social media, hey, who wants to try products for free and then have your photo taken? So it was put on public, and then I would just stalk the people on the comments section for hours, like no shame. I was just stalking. And then we asked them to fill out forms. Everything was in there, like from their skin type, their age range, their makeup preference, their hair type, like everything. I was like, FBI. And then we customized that whole experience for them. And we created shirts for them saying, you know, I'm a pretty girl. And then after a couple of weeks, they sent in what they thought about it. And then we barely edited it. It was literally what came out in the beauty issue that year. And it's just something that I think I am most proud of as a person who works in the beauty industry, is to, you know, put the voice in give a voice to the people who matter the most. And for many years, I would be brainstorming about what to put in every issue. Suddenly, I was the one who was like, yeah, talk beauty to me. And it was in great timing, because people began to be more open about how they would talk about their regimens, unlike before. That was when we realized that times were changing. So, even people who aren't even into like beauty, like this girl, she's a triathlete. And then she had this like beautiful tan skin. And then, so we did her hair and makeup. And then she had never had her hair and makeup done before. And then after the shoot, she was like, oh my gosh, I now realize what makes people look so put together. It's foundation. And then she just realized that there. It's just so nice to see them discover it for themselves. So I'd like to come back to what I mentioned I wanted to share with you all is that, beyond just giving recommendations or being like a beauty product pusher, is to have this conversation on beauty with everybody on how it empowers you. And, working in this industry has really urged me to, find out how we can create an engaging and encouraging environment for that to happen for the people we create things for. Basically, us, beauty customers, users. So how does beauty empower women and men alike beyond just making them feel good? First, everybody has become an influencer now. I mean, it's true, you might cringe inside, but this is a good thing, actually. It just means we trust in each other's opinions more. I mean, don't you listen to your best friend when she tells you to use this new serum more than an ad, right? Won't you listen to your mom if she tells you to use the shampoo versus just seeing it on Instagram or something? It's about trust. And we've come a long way from listening to only a select few tastemakers. And what's cool is we get to elect who and what we listen to. Which leads me to the second point. Beauty empowers because it informs us that we have a choice in whatever it is that makes us look and feel good. And that there's no shame in our beauty choices, whether you just splash your face with water or you have 700 steps in your makeup routine. It's not an either or. It reminded me of that shoot we did with two people. They were like the opposite ends of beauty. So this is Ivy. She is a celebrity dermatologist, and the other is Joan Bitagol. She's a model and photographer. And then they're on both ends of the beauty spectrum because Ivy does everything, and then Joan, she's that splash water on the face kind of girl. And it's not a competition. It's not, an either or. Things, can coexist in beauty. I mean, the vibe of the beauty world now has come so far from that time when, being maarte or grooming for yourself was a bad thing. So third, beauty empowers because of the first 2 points, we let everybody know that we are all creators. Our opinions matter. Everyone is a creator. Whatever you put out there, your face of the day, your October skincare routine, your daily glam, you're heard. Someone somewhere across the world will double tap that photo and say, hey, why don't I try this today? Boom, that's impact, no matter how small. And, I showed you earlier how many makeup grams there are. There's also millions on beauty, so that's 200 million posts and more. And so everybody really is, a creator. And because this discussion is live, you are also listened to as a customer and as a user, because we simply respect and validate each other's thoughts and opinions. So, the next time, take a photo of yourself, sharing that lippy outfit, or, you just feel like you look cute today. That's cool, too. Think of what a selfie can do. I mean, it doesn't have to be deep, but you always get to reach somebody when you talk beauty. Remember, it's a connective tissue. Think of the voice you have. And I just feel like, as a fellow millennial, this is something we're rarely told. That, girl, you're heard. I mean, beauty is a dialogue that should empower, but it's also a dialogue where you are listened to, and this is a fact. What do you want to do with that voice? Thank you.
All right, guys, a round of applause for Belle. So we're gonna make this very interactive. So Belle had a great presentation. I know a lot of you guys have some questions, but so how this is gonna work is all you have to do is probably raise your hand, and we can probably hand you a microphone. So feel free to gather your thoughts, and while you do so, I'm gonna ask the first question.
Okay.
So Belle, you've had your conversations with all these people. Have they told you why, from their perspective, the conversation has changed? Because now, because as you said before, it was about covering your imperfections. It was about being good for somebody else and being told that you're not good enough. So now it's about empowerment. Why did that conversation change for them?
I think for a lot of people, also not like on a very deep level, it's also because it's super trendy. And they also want to be part of that, it's another conversation. And it's a nice foot in the door for people who are only, discovering beauty now, because then they would discover, what it means for them in a deep sense later on.
So I'm a guy, so of course we have some guys here in the audience, and some of them might have, hesitations about asking about beauty products for guys or beauty routines for guys. Has the conversation now opened up more for men? Because before, if you're a guy, you're told you're maarte if you talk about, your beauty.
Actually, it has. I'm not sure if it's because I work in, the beauty industry or the fashion industry, but it really, really has. Like, I know some people's boyfriends, they use Olay. And, and I really remember this time. I posted about this facial wash, and like 5 guys replied saying, "I use this," and I'm like, "Wow, I'm so happy." And then I know somebody else who grooms his own eyebrows. Like, he takes 20 minutes. Like, he does it better than Benefit. Like, I would have my eyebrows done by him. But yeah, I think it's becoming, more open and of course inclusive, and there's really no more stereotypes unless you have that within yourself, So there.
All right, so I know you guys have a lot of questions, but let's make this interactive. So hands up first to this question. How many of you take longer than 30 minutes with your skincare routine? Hands up. Longer than 30 minutes for your skincare routine. Or your
Don't be
beauty routine. Hands up. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. It's okay. I'm gonna round out the question as we go along. 20 minutes. 20 minutes for your beauty routine. 20 minutes. Wow, nobody wants to admit 20. Oh, there we go, 20 minutes. 10 minutes. 5 minutes? There we go. So it's spread out. So 5, 10, 20. Fine. How about this? Longer than 30 minutes. More than 30 minutes. There we go. Overall. Yes, overall. All right, so do any of you have questions for Belle? Hands up. We can just hand you the microphone. No worries. Oh, there we go. Any questions at all?
If they don't have, I have for them.
Oh, okay, then go for it. Yeah.
So what changes would you like to see happen in the beauty world? Doesn't have to be deep. Like, what dream product do you want to find out there? What brand do you want to find here in the Philippines?
So what brand would they want to have more access to, or what product to cater to them?
Yeah, either. Or like, what's your dream beauty product? Like, no limits.
Hey, for all you know, that brand or any product might actually contact you after watching this. You never know. They're talking amongst themselves. But while I ask you first, while they gather their thoughts, what brought you into beauty? Because I know we've covered the conversation with people, how the dialogue has changed, but people want to get to know the person they're hearing from. So what brought you into beauty?
I think I have always been interested in it, but officially, it was when I started interning for Preview Web. Then it was then called Style Bible, and then the editor-in-chief then, who is the editor-in-chief now of Preview, she asked me, what do you want to do, beauty or fashion? And then I just found myself saying beauty right away. I think it's because I grew up in a family where everyone was maarte. I had that grandma who would like curl her hair every night. She would never leave the house without her eyeliner. She was that kind of person. And my mom always had her skincare, and I wasn't allowed to kiss her at night because she had skincare on. Yeah. So I was brought up to be this way.
So in other words, family was your influence. And as you
Yeah.
mentioned earlier, beauty's been a timeless thing. It's been a trend
Yeah,
that's timeless.
true.
So anybody with questions for Belle? So she raised a question earlier, what product maybe you'd like to see or anything. Don't worry, she doesn't bite. So
You
it's
can
okay.
name drop brands if you want.
Yeah. Like we said, we want to make
I
this
have
a
a
conversation.
question.
Oh, go for it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I have a question. So two questions. One, first, I have a lot of we have some aspiring models here, and some of them are actually walking for the first time. So obviously,
Congrats.
Congratulations,
over here
guys.
on this side, so they're gonna ask more questions after I ask one question. But my question is, obviously for models who are constantly having to put makeup on, even for men, and remove it, like what skincare, or how can they take care of how can they take care of the skin during like Fashion Week when it's like back to back and then you don't get any sleep? What tips can you give to them as far as like keeping their skin young?
Honestly, bring your own makeup remover because you can't just rely on wipes because it, only, this is super specific now, like literally tips. Like wipes only really remove like from the surface. So if you, like in between, if you want to be gentle with your skin, use like an oil cleanser. Like if you want to be cheap, it's BRA that I always use, that oil cleanser. If you want to splurge a bit, Shu Emura, of course, but it's so hard to find here. And then there's also Vanilla Co. That one's a lot better for traveling if you're like in, I don't know, commuting or in the heat all day and you want to keep it in your bag. It's a balm, it's solid, and then you just basically like massage your face with it. And then you don't have to rub it even. Like when you wash it, it emulsifies and then it melts away your makeup. And then in between, syempre, you have to moisturize. So if your skin is really, doing heavy duty stuff, I suggest using like a sleeping pack. So spend versus save. Spend the Dior. They have a sleeping pack. It's like a deep moisturizing whatever. And then if you wanna save the COS RX overnight nourishing spa mask, I use that as a moisturizer. So that's like super specific.
Hey, I mean,
I really can
they asked for it.
yeah.
I'm sure they want to know this, especially for the
Yeah.
aspiring models.
Yeah.
Because you want to keep looking that way as you keep growing older. Trust me, we were just having this conversation earlier where we were talking about the women in this industry who have been around for a very long time already, like 10 years, right?
You can't even tell.
Yeah, you can't even tell their age anymore.
Oh, and lip balm because like you'll be changing your makeup a lot, and then even if, for example, you're not gonna have to change your funda anymore, lip balm is so important because it helps you just remove the like lip makeup and gently versus just wipes. And for example, kasi you have a lot of lip changes, it really takes a toll on your lips kasi if you just wipe it all the time, it really cracks it eh. So, lip balm, use it to remove. But make it like the really thick one, like the Vaseline lip therapy specifically.
Like as we said, she does have a lot of tips. But okay, from my end, I want to ask you, for people who are on the go, I'm sure a lot of people here are always constantly on the move. But for someone like me, for a guy, is it enough to have wipes and then wash your face with, say, with facial cleanser afterwards or facial wash?
Yeah, that's fine.
To remove
yeah,
makeup?
Actually, yeah, that's okay.
Okay, so
I
problem
mean,
solved.
You're not wearing makeup, naman.
No. Problem solved. For on
Actually,
camera
there's
stuff.
this thing called those facial wash that don't have they don't have suds in it. So for example, Aveeno or Fishu gel, it's cleansing, but it's also moisturizing at the same time. So 2-in-1.
I think right after this, you're going to be endorsed by a lot of products, Belle. This is very good for you right now. So we want to open the floor to everybody here. I know we answered a few of your questions, but we'd like to hear from you specifically. And as Belle said, we want to open the conversation. So don't be shy about being specific about the questions you ask or the things you are curious about. So we have a mic here. Anybody who wants to ask?
Guys, don't be shy. Okay, thank you.
There we go.
So I have a question for you. Like, how do you personally handle breakouts? Like, if you
my
get breakouts.
gosh, that is like my worst enemy. So I personally am acne prone, and That's just like my biggest fear. So
Are you sure you're acne prone?
yeah, okay. Let me just tell you a backstory because when I just graduated college, I had like a really big hormonal breakout, and it was really bad. Like it was the kind that really took the toll on your self-esteem. Na parang I would like cut my hair to hide it because I couldn't find anything to do about it. And then eventually, I had to go to the derma, and then I would go like every 2 weeks. I was really super like sipag about it. So then after everything cleared up, now that's like that's like a core trauma for me when it comes to skincare. So what I do is like, okay, I'm gonna go into specifics. So I use a glycolic toner. It's from this brand called Peter Thomas Roth. It's from Lux Asia. And then I use a retinoid. It's called Epiduo, which is also an anti-acne. And then on weekends, I do a glycolic peel. It's 20%. It's from Pixie. It's those glow peel pads. And then I really don't go out. And then I really don't drink or smoke or whatever. So, when I get a breakout, I just feel so betrayed by my skin. Because I've sacrificed so much for it. And then here it is, a pimple.
So I want to ask, the tips that you gave, are those preventive measures or when you've already had it?
Those are preventive. But when I have it, I use Mario Badescu drying lotion. It's like this, it's like in a little bottle. It's this small, and it's 1,200 pesos. And then there's a clear liquid, and then it's pink in the bottom. And then you just dip your cotton bud in it, and then you dab it on your pimple. And then the next day, it's gone.
1,200 pesos, well spent. Well spent,
Yeah,
1,200
yeah.
pesos.
I mean, I think a lot of people know about it naman na.
I think these models should, and everybody basically should write this down, because especially people who are in front of the camera or on the runway or in print and so on. Can you imagine having a shoot the next day and you have a pimple on your face that you want to remove? So you should write these stuff down.
I mean, if all else fails, you can have it like injected at the derma.
But you have to make the trip, if that's
Yeah,
the case.
you have to make the trip.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
All right, so any other questions? The floor is open. We have Belle for a while, and as we said, she's a very busy person. So we're glad to have you here. So any questions? There we go.
There you go.
Hi, so I just want to ask in behalf of all the other women out there, or men actually, if you're intimidated by all the products, by all the different types of, I guess, or the new brands at least that comes out, and you want to invest in your skincare, where do you start and what are the basic must-haves?
So I guess what I always tell people who ask me that is that just observe first what your skin needs. So some people who want to just keep it simple, a lot of these people, just the basic cleansing and moisturizing works for them. But then, for example, you need a little more than that. Then you cleanse, tone, and moisturize. And then, so it's not like, cut out for everybody, like the same cleanse, tone, and moisturize. You have to remember what your skin needs. So if you're looking for a cleanser, you have to remember always, like, am I dry skin or combination or whatever? Same with toner and then moisturizer. You always have to go back to that question, what does my skin need? Because a lot of times, like, honestly, I'm guilty also. I really hoard. I don't even need it. I just, want to try it. But, if you're not on that level yet, then, just stick to the basics and keep in mind your personal needs. Thanks, Jack.
All right, any other questions? Floor is open for you guys. So there we go. Oh, there we go.
I love it. Thank you.
As soon as the more you keep asking, trust me, everybody else will follow.
What are your thoughts on the impact of technology on our skin? Like, being exposed to technology around you every day.
Oh my gosh, this question is really super exciting to me because when I was a beauty editor, I would be so exposed to, so much education about beauty. And then they would always send us to like trips abroad on how, on launches. And in these launches, they would always show us how it's made, how a fragrance is created, how this new ingredient in skincare is going to be groundbreaking. And from day one, when I started working in the industry, I was always, at awe of how technology and science is literally, hand in hand with beauty, and it's crazy because there's so much innovation. Like for example, you would notice like some products they would always come out with like, you know, reformulated whatever, and then you would just think it's a marketing ploy. But it just happened to me that it's worked for me before, and then when it came out again, it started to suck. So, you know, you really see the beauty technology happening. And then, for example, Shiseido, it's one of the brands that I work for, kind of. And they're a Japanese brand, and they're so innovative with their technology. So, for example, they had a new collection come out, and then they have brushes, right? And then, so they have a concealer brush. And, it's a foundation brush. And at the other end, it's called a concealer retoucher. And it's something you've never seen before. It feels like putty, and it's soft and bouncy. Literally, you have never seen it before. And I mean, I've seen so much. And it's just so amazing how science really affects beauty directly, and, you know, vice versa, because that's how innovations happen. Thank you. I really love that question.
Actually, I want to add to that question now. How does technology change the beauty conversation? Like how in your opinion, how does it change the conversation?
Yeah, so aside from the fact, you know, science really contributes directly to beauty, technology has led us to, you know, everybody has become an influencer, and it's become so accessible to everybody that, so for example, they asked me to talk about beauty here, right? And then somebody suggested to me to talk about makeup tips, and I'm like, I don't think I should talk about that because that's something you guys can Google. You know, it's just so, everything is at your fingertips. And because of this, beauty is really democratized because the power is distributed to all of us. No one person has like the sole, you know, decision-making power on whatever is good in beauty. It's a lot about what works for you may not work for me, and vice versa. And it's just about, you know, finding what makes you feel good.
Well said. All right, anybody else? And feel free to ask questions over and over again. The floor is yours. Belle is an unlimited source of information, so believe me, she's well versed in this conversation. Anyone here? The boys. It's
happy.
great. The boys are asking.
Yeah, because I told you, the girls already know about their...
On behalf of all men, thank you for asking. On behalf, because we're just shy to ask all of this.
How do you deal with oily face? Because like after you wash your face, then after 30 minutes, your face goes oily again. So how do you deal with those things?
Okay, first of all, I would like to let you know that it's socially acceptable to have an oily face now because dewy is in. But seriously talking, I also have oily skin. And one of the...
Are you sure?
Yeah, look,
Wait,
I'm super shiny.
Can we rack everything up together? First she says she had a lot of pimples, and then she said she was going to the derma constantly.
I'm not lying.
And then, are you sure? Okay,
No,
anyway,
I'm super
sorry,
shiny.
carry on.
But now I like to be super shiny. Anyway, so one of the first things I learned early on when I was in the beauty industry is that when you have oily skin, you're really not supposed to strip your skin of the oil. So for example, you're using like a really strong cleanser, which was my mistake before. What happened was that since you strip everything of your skin of its natural oils, which it needs, it starts to overproduce. So your strategy of like stripping the oil, all the oils, is gonna backfire. What you can do is you have to balance your skin out. So you have to embrace the oils for a bit. So for example, let's say you still want to use that really strong cleanser, right? So use it. But then make sure after that your toner is there kasi to balance your skin back. So usually, okay, specific again. Cleansers are usually basic on the pH scale, right? Basic, acidic. And then toners are usually supposed to balance your skin back so that it's ready to receive the moisturizers and everything. So that when you put those hydrating things on, it gets to do its job perfectly, and you don't overproduce oils. So yeah, be easy on your skin. Use Dove maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, Dove
Yeah,
actually is very
Dove.
good. The stuff that are mild for
Yeah.
like I'm personally admitting because I have skin eczema, so I really have to take care of my skin. But I wanna add to this. It's a bit of a little bit of a controversial question now. What?
scared.
No, no, don't worry. We're not gonna get there. I just basically want to ask you: is there such thing as overdoing your beauty? And because, like we said, for everybody it's different. For different looks, it's different. For what you're going for, but is there such thing as overdoing it?
Personally, yes, because you have to think of the context and where you're gonna go. So, for example, I'm gonna go to work, and I work in a corporate company. It's not like I'm gonna be like wearing glitter, editorial makeup. I mean, you have to consider the context of where you're gonna be. And sometimes a lot of the beauty stuff out there, especially vlogs, they're so gimmicky that I feel like, I mean, sure, do your thing, but I feel like some of them aren't even, informative, and some are so wasteful. Like, like doing your eyeliner with your Louboutin shoes. Like, it's so weird. Like, glue gun for makeup. It's so crazy. I mean, do your thing, but like, keep in mind the context of where you're gonna bring that.
So with all of this, where does natural beauty fall now? Because now we said you have the rise of technology. Everybody has different looks. There's such thing as overdoing, like you said, your beauty. Where does natural beauty fall into all of this now?
I guess personally, natural beauty for me, oh my gosh, it's so nuanced. So, okay, what context is this? Like the look,
No, I mean, like,
the
feel free to put beauty products on your face, but where does it fall now in line with all of these things? Because we're also told to enhance our looks and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So where does it fall into all of this?
Okay, when it comes to like your look, natural, honestly, it's harder to do. I mean, girls, I mean, like the no makeup, it's really an art. It really like, parang it takes more effort to do an effortless makeup because you have to make it look like, skin, ganyan. And that's where skincare comes in. And then when it comes to products, natural beauty products, I think this is such an extensive topic, because what I always tell my friends is that, natural isn't always good, because there are a lot of products out there marketed as natural or like organic, which you're not even sure, because it has to be like certified from the US. There's no certifying board here. That's super specific na. But just keep in mind that natural products isn't always going to be good for you. Because, for example, your friend could be using like everything is essential oils, and that's natural. And it could work for her. But essential oils is a natural irritant. Like for me, like mint, lavender, whatever, you put that on your face, it's going to go crazy. So yeah, I think everything in moderation always.
So we've been asking Belle these questions, but I'd like to pass this question on to you guys. Who here still struggles talking about their beauty routine? Honestly, you can raise your hand because I know some of you guys are shy to get into specifics, as you mentioned earlier. Anybody here in the audience still have struggles talking about their beauty routine? Hands up. That's great. We only have a few now, actually, because compared to, like you said, it's usually a lot of people. So feel free to talk about it more now because you have the green light.
All right,
Can
question.
I ask you, what's your name? Yeah.
Ruru.
Ruru, hi.
Yes po, hello.
So what's your favorite moisturizer?
Salatec.
Oh, meron siya eh.
Pero is it okay na hindi mo siya laging gamitin? Like yung toner tsaka moisturizer. Tapos soap lang talaga after mag-wash up.
I think you always have to use sunblock after.
Okay. Thank you.
I mean, talk to me after if you want to know what sunblock specifically.
Thank you.
There we go.
Hi. My question is, what are the ingredients that you're not supposed to mix, like with your skin?
Yeah. That's a good question, and it's so. It really depends on on what you're tolerant to. So, for example, like glycolic acid, which I use, you're not supposed to use it with any other acid because it's kind of an overkill. And then, for example, retinoid. Um, you're not supposed to use it with vitamin C because retinoid is like a powerful exfoliant, like chemical. It's not the scrub kind. FYI, chemical exfoliants are better. So you're not supposed to use it with vitamin C because vitamin C is like a lightening agent, and it's also an overkill. And then what else? There's so many. It really depends on like your concern. But just remember one thing: if you're using like really active ingredients, and you're not sure, use it at night. And then always wear sunscreen in the morning because, for example, you're using all these lightening, like spot treatment. If you don't use sunblock, it's just gonna worsen it because your skin is vulnerable. It's like you exfoliated it and then you exposed it to the sun. So sunscreen, guys, it's so important.
I think that's something a lot of us take for granted.
Yeah.
Especially for, well, just talking on behalf of some of the men I know. We almost never put sunscreen, especially when we're in the city. It's only when we're in the beach or something.
There are really nice sunscreens out there now. I mean, thanks to technology and science, they don't even really smell like sunscreen anymore. Like a couple ones I use, it's BRA again. It's so awesome. It's like a Japanese brand, and it's so runny that you don't even feel like you're massaging cream onto your face. And then another one, it's a Korean brand. It's called Make Prem. That's Make with P::REM. And it's called UV Safe Me. And then it's supposed to cool the temperature of your skin. Oh my gosh, it's so fun. Me, because I walk around in BGC a lot. And then you really feel it in your skin when you're walking and then you stop and then you feel like it's heating up. So it's supposed to prevent that from happening. And so sunburn is like, 2 steps away from you pa before it happens. And so, by the way, it's available already in the Philippines. On Friday, please go to our store launch in Glorieta 2. Our store is called Freya.
There you go. So you guys know where to go. I was going to say opens on Friday.
Yes. Everything is there. Like Jeffree Star is there. Huxley is there. Benefit is there. So many talaga. Like 40 brands. Please go. Shameless plug.
Oh, go ahead. The floor is yours. And going back to you guys have any other questions? Anything you'd like to ask? There we go.
Okay, so having a nice skin, you really have to sleep a lot, right? Because sleep is important to having nice skin. So what if you live a lifestyle that you barely get enough skin? How do you compensate for that?
I think there are some people who are like unfair because even if they drink and then like smoke and stay up late, they still have nice skin. But for example, if you're someone like me who I have to work for it because I'm also in my late 20s na. I think just really hydrate. And then me kasi I also enjoy like going out with my friends. What I make sure to do is really before I go home, I really like drink like 57 gallons of water. Like really. And then so when I get home, I'm okay enough to like still go through my entire skincare routine. And if you're not, just make sure you wash your face. That's really so important, like washing your face. Oh, and then if you're going out, and then so for example, you don't know if you're gonna crash at your friend's house or whatever, just bring face wipes. But make sure it's the makeup removing kind.
Wait, so how many hours would you say is a good amount? Because he raised a very good point. You have a on-the-go lifestyle. How many hours of sleep would you say?
Depends. Me, I can function on like 5.
But that's good enough for your skin. Would you say 5?
No. I think
what?
6.
6 at the minimum. At the bare minimum.
Minimum, yeah.
All right, last question.
All right, last question, everyone. There we go.
Hi. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Jess.
Hi,
Belle.
Jess.
Earlier you mentioned that there's a lot of innovation with regards to skincare. So I just want to know your opinion about skincare and makeup in one, like 3-in-1 primer, like a foundation with moisturizer in it.
You mean do I like it?
Yeah. Would it suffice the skincare to skip the skincare and just go with the skincare and makeup in one?
Actually, yeah. If it's a good enough product, and if you feel like it's enough for your skin, again, beauty is a lot about what works for you. So you really have to observe. But for example, I'm in a rush. A sunscreen foundation, that's fine. Like a serum, what do you call that? Those serum concealers, they're okay. But you also have to consider you have to be consistent. So for example, you use that in a rush, but you really want to be dedicated to your skincare. So you can't make that your everyday. You still have to go back to your like home base of your like 5 steps or 3 steps or whatever.
Actually, one last question.
Go ahead.
Yeah. It's a personal question. No,
It's a please share it.
Go ahead.
they say because we've been talking about skincare, but my question is about hair care. It's like a lot of times I want to blow dry my hair, but I hear it's like really bad for you. But when you go to events and stuff like that. So how do you think? Because I know there are products out there. And, this is brought to you by Panasonic. But there are products out there where you can use every day, and they have this nanotechnology where.
Yeah.
So can you elaborate more on tools for skincare and hair
Okay.
care, and why is it important to also invest on that?
Yeah. So for your first question about hair, if it's damaging, I have a really extreme stance against this. So I have been coloring my hair for like since the beginning of time.
No, we all thought it was natural coloring. Don't worry. We all thought it was natural.
It is, just kidding. So I've had like purple hair, like blue hair, red. I've only never done blonde or green. So anyway, hair, nails, they're kind of like dead skin cells, right? So my extreme stance on this is like, I guess do whatever, what that makes you feel great, because it's dead, but it's dead. I mean, but if your issue is like, for example, thinning hair or like scalp issues, you really have to factor in. You're right, the tools you use. So for example, you're blow drying your hair every day, but you're wary of your scalp health because heat. That's a big factor in like itchy and flaky scalp. You have to have something that offers a bit of protection against overheating, and has like a technology that keeps your follicles intact, and also you have to couple that with the correct products. So like I told you, I've done so much stuff to my hair, and then for the longest time, my schedule, like my workout schedule, and like life schedule revolved around my hair. Okay, so anecdote time. And then the first time I colored my hair, it was red and it was bleached. And then I still had no idea that if you had colored hair, you had to use sulfate-free shampoos to keep it from washing out, because the sulfates are like the sudsy stuff in soap, facial wash, whatever. They're a detergent, literally. It really washes out the color. And two, that you can't wash your hair every day, or you can't style it all the time. Like choose one. So because of technology, we are able to do things like that. Like I iron my hair all the time. Like people get to blow dry every day now because there are products like these that are innovative and still take care of your hair. But it's really dedication.
Makes a lot of sense. So, on behalf of our friends from Panasonic Beauty, we'd like to thank you all for coming. And please give a big hand to Belle. Belle, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Once again, please look her up on social media. If you guys have any questions, I'm sure she'll be happy to answer. And you're going to get a flood of questions right after this. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for being here. This is brought to you by Panasonic Beauty. And have a great afternoon.
Okay, wait. I want to take a selfie.
Go ahead, yeah.
Wait. Is it correct? Okay. Does everybody fit? Oh, yeah. Okay. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Good job with the questions, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Tomorrow wala ka.
Or you're here
I'm not here tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm here, but I'm here the rest of the day.
Okay.
Sir, you want me to go through a list of questions? Or you want to keep it like this?
It depends on the speaker. I think, you know.
Well, you're the next one I'm going to be talking to, I think.
Mine's on, yeah, but there are three of us. It's all boys.
That's going to be fun. That's gonna be fun.
Director's cut. It's like, it's fashion in motion. So it's like fashion film, fashion documentaries.